Hi guys, welcome to another video here on my channel. If you've not seen any of these videos before, I'm an approved driving instructor here in the UK, and if it's your first time to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on that bell notification so you get all the new videos that we're going to be dropping. So let's get into the video. Today's lesson is what to expect from the driving test. And this is not kind of hints and tips into how to pass it. This is what you're going to expect and how the test is actually going to work. A lot of you out there won't have done a driving test before. You won't have done any sort of exam or test that works the same way as a driving test does. So prior to getting to the test, if you're going in your own vehicle, you need to make sure it meets the requirements. And I've got another video that shows you what requirements they are looking for your car to be able to be taken out on a driving test. So have a check at that one. Should be up here somewhere, I think. But this is all going to be how the test is broken down, how it works, and what you're going to expect to be asked and what you're going to be expected to do for your driving test. Okay, so the first point is you're going to arrive at the test centre. Now you want to get there around about 10 minutes beforehand, between 10 and 5 minutes. Don't get there any earlier, because what you'll find is you're going to be arriving as the previous test to you is getting back. And what you don't want to do is you don't want to affect that previous person's test, because you wouldn't want anybody to do it to you. So just be courteous and give it no more than 10 minutes before the test. You also don't want to then go and sit in a waiting room for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour waiting for your test to start. Your nerves are just going to build. Your confidence is going to be getting all over the place, and it's just not what you want to be doing. So when you arrive at the test centre, make sure you're parking your car, reverse parking it, just so it makes it easier for you to start your test by driving out rather than having to start your test by reversing out of it. You're then going to need to make sure you go into the waiting room where you can wait for the examiners, and make sure at this point you take your driving license with you and that theory pass test certificate, because they're going to ask to see at least your driving license, and the chances of them asking to see your theory certificate at that point is when they would ask for it. So you go into a waiting room. And this is just an example of a local test centre to myself. They're not the most appealing waiting rooms in the world. They are all either offices or custom built buildings or converted units. It's just there for you to spend a couple of minutes in whilst you're waiting for the examiner to come and read your name. They're then going to come into the room. And they'll generally, you'll find there'll be 3 or 4 of them coming down together. They might come down a couple of minutes apart, depending on what's happened on previous tests. But they're going to come in and they're going to read your name out. Now, obviously, the examiners have only ever seen your name in print. If you have a little bit of a difficult name to pronounce or a little bit of a unusual name to pronounce, you might find them struggling a little bit. It's not that they're being disrespectful. It's just unusual for them to have to read these names out, or they might refer to you as Mr. or Mrs. or Miss, however it's displayed on your license. Once they've read your name out, go up to them. They'll introduce themselves as who they are. They'll then ask to see your driving license, at which point they're going to check that it's a valid license. So they use a little light to make sure that it's got all the correct watermarks that it should have, and that it's in date and everything else like that. They will also ask if the address on it is correct. And the reason for that is, if you are successful, they're going to send the license off for you, and they need to make sure that your new license, your full license, is going to go to the correct address. Whilst they're checking this, they're going to ask you to read and sign the insurance and residency declaration, which is at the top left-hand corner of your driving test report. And it's a basic declaration that says that the car is insured for the purposes of the test, which we would hope by this point it is, and that you've been a UK resident for a specific amount of time. That I'll give you a little cutout here, up there somewhere. Let's see if we can get it in my fingers. We'll give you a little cutout of the driving test report and the section that you're going to be reading, signing there. Once you've signed that and the examiner's happy with the signature matches your driving license, they're going to ask you if you want your instructor or a company driver to come with you on the test. This is always your decision. Don't feel obliged to say yes or no. If you feel that it's going to be a benefit having them in the back just as a comfort blanket for you, then fine, ask them to come with you. If they're going to be a distraction, because the first thing you're going to see whenever you look in the rearview mirror is their mug, then don't take them with you. It's entirely your choice. Likewise, on some tests, examiners will come with an accompanied person. This might be a trainee examiner. It might be an experienced examiner that's moving test centres and wants to learn the routes. Again, you have the choice to refuse this if you don't want it. They will not play any part whatsoever in the test. Likewise, if you take your instructor, they cannot play any part in the test whatsoever. They can't speak to you, cough at certain times, prod you in the back, do anything. They're just there as an observer for you. If you decide that you don't want your instructor or your accompanied driver to come with you, they'll ask you if you want them there at the end for the result and the debrief. Personally, I would always say this is a great benefit, because at the time when you're getting this result, your head might not be quite in the right place to take the information in. Especially if you've not been successful, you want to make sure you understand why you haven't been successful. And at this point, like I say, you might not take the information in. So it's always good to have a second pair of ears there to let this information sink in for you. At this point, they're going to lead you out into the car park to do the eyesight check, where they have a series of cars within that car park. It might be the own car that you've turned up in, and they're going to get you to be a certain distance away from that, where they get you to read the number plate to make sure that your eyesight is suitable at the correct distance. If you're not sure what that distance should be, go on the DVSA's website and all the information is on there for you. Once they've done the eyesight check, they're then going to start walking you over to your vehicle, at which point they are more than likely going to be asking you one of the 14 tell me questions. If you need help with the tell me questions, there is a video that I've done on that. It's split into certain sections because it does take a little bit of time to go through them all, and I didn't want to do a big long hour video for you. So they're broke down into 4 sections. So there's 4 different videos for the different sections of the tell me questions. You'll only be asked one, but you do want to make sure you understand what all of the questions are and what all of the answers are, just so you don't start off the test being quite flustered and quite stressed out. You don't want to do that. They're then going to ask you to go and take a seat in your vehicle. Once you do that, they're going to have a little walk around the car. And what they're checking for, again, is to make sure the car is safe and legal. It's got the correct L plates on. And if you are with an instructor, they will take information off of the instructor's badge to make sure that that result is tallied against that instructor. Again, if you're not sure whether your car is suitable for doing the test, check out the video where I've gone through all of the bits to do with what your car needs to have in it, what it should be like, so the MOT status, tyre status, all those sort of things, to make sure that the car is safe and usable for the test. The last thing you'd want is to be fully prepared yourself and turn up to a test with a car that isn't, and you can't do the test because the examiner is not happy that the vehicle is safe to use. Once both of you are sat in the vehicle, they're going to ask you to follow the road ahead unless otherwise instructed by themselves and or road markings. So you need to be conscious of things like tram only signs, no entry signs, anything where your road markings and your street signs are going to tell you that following the road ahead actually isn't going that way. It might be going this way or that way. So just be cautious of that. They'll always give you instructions in a nice, timely fashion. And if you're on a route that has a couple of double junctions, or a junction where you're turning right and then the next road you need to go on is very close to it, they might give you the instruction together. So they might say to you, at the end of the road, turn right, and then I'd like you to take the first road on the right, please. If you miss the second instruction, or after you've made the first turn you're not sure, you can always ask them to repeat it. That is not a problem whatsoever. Okay, so there is a sat-nav or independent drive section of the current driving test. 1 in 5 tests will have to follow road signs rather than following a sat-nav. So it's important that you make sure you practice following road signs as well as following the sat-nav. The sat-nav they're going to use is a TomTom Start 52. So I'll put a link for that sat-nav in the description below for you. So if you want to have a look at the type of sat-nav, you can get an app that mirrors the software if you don't want to go out and buy the software. It's just a TomTom Go app. It works very, very similar to how their sat-nav will work on the test. They have pre-programmed routes in there, so it's not like you're going to have to program it. They just hit the button that says let's drive and you follow the instructions on the sat-nav just like you would do if you were following their instructions. So your test is going to last 38 to 40 minutes, and that includes everything from the minute they come down to read your name to the minute they're back and they have given you the result. So it's not going to be an hour's drive, it's going to be a little bit less than that. A percentage of that will either be under the sat-nav or the signs. It's normally between 15 and 20 minutes that you'll get to do as independent driving. Along with that, some of the other things you're going to be asked on your test. So you'll be asked to stop a minimum of 3 times at the side of the road. That's where you'll be asked to find somewhere safe to stop. That is up to you to decide where it is and find it and stop. You're then going to be asked one time to stop behind a vehicle that is parked, and they'll ask you to stop reasonably close to it. This is so that they can do what we call the angled start. So this is where you're pulling out from behind another vehicle parked in front of you. And you'll also be asked to do one reversing manoeuvre and potentially the controlled stop as well, or what a lot of people call the emergency stop. It is referred to as the controlled stop on the driving test. Once you've done all of that, you'll be heading back to the test centre. And when you pull back into the test centre, you'll be asked to switch off your engine. At that point, then the test has finished and you've done everything you can to be able to pass it. What the examiner will then do is very quickly, they'll just tot up your result, work out how many driver faults you've got, if you've got any seriouses, and if you've got any dangerous faults. And they will give you the result there and then. There is no waiting for the result, you get it straight away. And they'll either say to you, I'm very happy to say that you've passed your driving test today, or unfortunately you haven't passed your driving test today. At this point, whether you pass or fail, it is critical that you try your best to pay attention to what the examiner's now telling you, because they're going to run through very briefly how they feel your drive went. And if there was some elements that they want you to make sure that you're aware of for going out and driving on your own, if you have passed, take them in, listen to them. It's good little bits of advice, the last little bit of constructive advice you're going to get. And if you weren't successful, this is key now to make sure that you listen, because there is no point going through all of this test situation, not getting the result you want, and then just ignoring the examiner and thinking, they're in the wrong, I'm just going to go back and do it again and I'll be fine. Listen to what they're saying, work on what they've told you, even if it's a very, very small thing, go and just practice on it and practice on it and say to yourself, I am not going to go back to this test again and fail on the same thing. I'm going to make sure that I perfectly polish that bit off for next time. And then at least next time when you go, you've got a bit of an understanding of how the test works. Okay, so that's a brief rundown, guys, on what to expect that you're going to have to do, how things are going to work on the test. So I hope that's been helpful for you. If you like the video, make sure you do hit that thumbs up for me. And if there's anything else that you want to know about the test, pop it in the comments below and I'll answer it as best I can for you. If there's a lot of comments that are similar, I'll do an extra video just to answer all those comments for you. If this is the first time coming to the channel, make sure you do subscribe so that you don't miss any videos that we've got coming up in the future. I do put videos out regularly every Thursday at 7 o'clock, and then sometimes I've been dropping them a little bit extra, so there might have been 2 or 3 that I've put out in the week. So stay tuned, watch any of my other videos that might be of help to you. Thank you very much for watching, guys, and good luck with your driving tests. I wish you every success that you can possibly have. When you do pass, make sure that you follow on with the lessons that you've learned and keep yourself nice and safe on the roads. Hopefully I'll see you on the roads in the UK at some point. Good luck, everybody. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.